Hey, nappy friend, welcome back to our nappy little club. You're home now, and we saved your spot. Tonight we gently drift back, way back, to a time of sun-baked marble, fragrant olive groves, and gods who were, let's be honest, a little bit dramatic. We're journeying to ancient Greece, but we're not visiting a battlefield or a bustling agra. No. We are seeking out the quietest corner of the entire ancient world, the home of the god of sleep himself, Hypnos. Imagine a silence so profound it has a texture, a darkness so comforting it feels like a familiar blanket. It's a place where deadlines and worries simply dissolve. You probably wouldn't survive the daily grind of ancient Athens. The lack of modern plumbing alone would be a deal-breaker, but here, in our story, you are safe, relaxed, and about to embark on the most peaceful journey imaginable. So before your eyelids get too heavy, if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, tap that like button and subscribe to keep our sleepy adventures coming. After all, nobody wants to miss out on history, right? We love knowing where our stories are reaching, so please feel free to comment with where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It makes our nappy community feel just a little bit closer. So dim your lights, tune into the soft, comforting fan hum, and ease gently into tonight's journey, because you're now officially in nappy community. You're not just listening, you're an essential part of our nappy family, where every night is soothing, special, and yours. You're safe, valued, and always welcome. The day's heat finally breaks, but its ghost lingers in your workshop. You are Callias, a potter, and your world is shaped by clay, water, and fire. The air, thick with the earthy scent of drying pottery, is still warm from the kiln you extinguished hours ago. Dust motes, tiny golden dancers perform their final ballet in the single shaft of amber light cutting through the high window. Your shoulders ache with a familiar, deep-seated weariness. It's the kind of tired that sinks into your bones, a product of a long day spent hunched over the wheel, coaxing life into lumps of stubborn attic clay. You run a hand over a row of freshly thrown kylixes drinking cups, their delicate stems, a testament to a steady hand you barely feel you possess anymore. The order was for a symposium hosted by a wealthy merchant who complains about the price of everything, yet demands perfection. You chuckle softly to yourself, a dry, dusty sound. You suspect the debates at his party will be far less balanced than the cup you've made for him. With a sigh that seems to carry the weight of the entire day, you begin the slow process of closing up. You slide the heavy wooden bolt on the door, the sound echoing with finality in the quiet space. Stepping out into the narrow lane, the sounds of Athens are already beginning to soften. The boisterous shouts from the Agra have dwindled to a distant murmur, replaced by the occasional clatter of sandals on stone and the low thrum of a city settling down for the night. The sky above is a canvas of deepening indigo, the first stars beginning to prick through like tiny, distant diamonds. Usually this walk home is a time for you to empty your mind, to let the rhythm of your steps carry you toward food and rest. But tonight, the weariness is different. It's a pull, a potent, almost physical tugging at the edges of your consciousness. You follow your usual path through the Keramakos district, past the workshops of other artisans, now dark and silent. But the familiar twists and turns seem longer tonight. The air grows cooler, carrying a scent you can't quite place. Not the city's mix of wood smoke and humanity, but something older, cleaner. Damp earth, stone, and a faint, sweet perfume, like crushed flowers. You realize with a gentle start that you don't recognize this path. The cobbled stones have given way to a soft, mossy trail, and the low buildings have been replaced by ancient, gnarled olive trees whose leaves whisper not with the wind, but with a strange and profound stillness. There is no sense of alarm, no fear, just a calm, dreamlike acceptance. It feels as though your feet knew where they were going, even if your mind did not. Before you, nestled in the side of a low, unassuming hill, is the mouth of a cave. It does not gape or threaten, it invites. The entrance is draped in thick, trailing ivy and blossoming poppies, their petals a mix of deep scarlet and dusky purple. It is from them that the sweet, soporific scent emanates. You've heard tales from travelers and poets. Some say the god of sleep, Hypnos, dwells on the sun-drenched island of Lemnos, a place of fire and smithing, an odd choice for a god of rest. Historians and philosophers, in their endless quest to map the unmappable, still debate whether these divine homes were meant to be real physical locations or simply metaphors for states of being. But as you stand here, you feel the foolishness of such questions. This place is not on a map. This place is at the end of a long day. It's a destination the soul finds when the body can go no further. You take a step forward, and then another, crossing the threshold from the twilight world into a realm of deep, velvety shadow. The moment you are inside, something extraordinary happens. The sound of the world ceases to exist. It's not just quiet. It's an absence of sound so complete it feels like a physical presence. You can't hear the chirp of a cricket, the rustle of a leaf, or the whisper of the wind. You have heard that in the domain of Hypnos, no dog dares to bark, no bird dares to sing, not even the proud rooster who heralds the dawn. It's a fact from Ovid's Metamorphoses you once heard a scholar recite, an eccentric detail that now feels like the most profound truth in the universe. This silence is a soft, heavy blanket wrapping around you, muffling the last echoes of the merchant's complaints and the city's hustle. For a moment you think a philosopher would go mad in this silence, trying to understand its nature. But for you, a tired potter named Callias, it is the most beautiful thing you have ever felt. You are in the antechamber of true rest, the whispering cave of shadows, and the world you knew is already a forgotten dream. The perfect, profound silence of the cave holds you for a long moment. It is a silence that is not empty, but full of peace, full of release. You feel the knots in your shoulders, the ones tied by hours of focused labor, begin to loosen. The worries that cling to your mind like clay dust on your tunic start to lose their grip. You take a slow, deep breath, and the air that fills your lungs is cool and impossibly pure. A gentle, unseen current seems to pull you forward, deeper, into the soft, enveloping darkness. The floor beneath your sandals is smooth, not like a path made by hands, but like stone worn down by the passage of eons and countless weary souls who, like you, sought this very sanctuary. The path slopes gently downward, and as you descend, the air grows cooler still, carrying a palpable sense of moisture that clings to your skin like a fine, refreshing mist. Then you perceive it, a new sensation slowly dawning, at the edge of your awareness. After the totality of the silence, it is almost a shock, but a gentle one. It is a sound, but a sound unlike any from the waking world, a low, constant, rhythmic murmur. It is the softest sound you have ever heard, a liquid whisper that seems to have no source and no echo, simply existing in the space around you. It's the sonic equivalent of a slow, steady heartbeat, a lullaby without melody or words. The sound grows, gradually, not in volume but in presence, as you continue your unhurried walk into the heart of the cave. It is the sound of water dot you round a smooth, sweeping curve of rock, and there it is. A river. It flows slowly, languidly from one immense shadow into another. Its waters are not dark or clear, but possess a strange opalescent quality, a milky, hazy luminescence like moonlight diffused through thick fog. It does not sparkle or reflect the faint ambient light of the cavern. It seems to absorb it, holding the light within itself. There are no frantic rapids, no churning currents, just a serene, inexorable slide. This is the river Lethe, the river of unmindfulness, whose waters wash away the world. You've heard its name spoken in hushed tones, one of the 5 great rivers of the underworld. But here, in the domain of sleep, it feels less like a feature of death and more like an instrument of peace. The cool mist you felt earlier rises from its placid surface, and as you draw nearer, you feel its true power. It is a gentle but pervasive influence. The memory of the demanding merchant's face begins to blur, the details fading like a watercolor left in the rain. The anxiety you felt about delivering his cups on time, the slight irritation at his haggling, it all just softens. The edges of your worries dissolve. You try to recall the specific ache in your lower back, and you find the memory of the pain is more elusive than the sensation itself, which has already begun to ebb away. You think, with a flicker of distant humor, that if that merchant took even a single sip of this water, he might forget to be displeased with anything ever again, including your final bill. You find a smooth, low ledge near the water's edge, and sit, the stone cool against your legs. You recall hearing a philosopher in the Agra arguing that Lethe wasn't just a place, but a choice. He spoke of old mystic texts, Pythagorean whispers of a crossroad in the afterlife where souls must choose to drink from the waters of Lethe for forgetfulness, or from the pool of Mnemosyne for memory. At the time it seemed like a pointless riddle. Why would anyone choose to forget? But sitting here, enveloped in this profound tranquility, you understand. Memory is the burden of heroes, the tool of poets, the torment of the grieving. But forgetting is the gift of the tired. It is the true rest, the wiping clean of the slate at the end of a long and dusty day. You can't quite remember what that one cup with the slightly imperfect stem looked like anymore, and you find you simply don't care as you gaze into the river's slow, milky current. You sense something more than just moving water. There is a presence here. A slow, ancient consciousness seems to reside within the river itself. You wonder about the old myths. Was Lethe first a being, a spirit or daimon of oblivion who was later given this liquid form? Or did the river come first, its waters so potent that mortals gave it a name and a personality? The debate feels trivial, academic. What you feel is real. The river is alive. It flows with a purpose, a gentle but absolute intention to soothe, to erase, to release. It watches you, not with eyes, but with a pervasive awareness, and in its gaze you feel utterly and completely understood. The river knows your weariness. It has seen it 1,000,000 times before in 1,000,000 other souls, and it offers the same simple, silent cure to all. The urge to reach out, to dip your fingers into the hazy white water, is almost overwhelming. The promise of total release, of letting every last care and memory drift away on that slow current, is a powerful temptation. But a deep, quiet instinct holds you back. You are a guest here, a visitor for a night. This forgetting is a temporary balm, a nightly grace. To drink from Lethe would be to lose the path back to your workshop, to the smell of clay, to the warmth of the sun on your face, to the very memory of being Kalias. And so you simply sit, letting the river's presence and its soft, murmuring song be enough. You breathe in the cool, misty air and feel your mind becoming as smooth and clear as a perfectly glazed pot, empty of everything but the gentle, flowing peace of the here and now. Rising from the bank of the river Lethe feels effortless, as if you're lighter than you were before. The water's gentle murmur fades behind you, not abruptly, but as if it is graciously releasing you, its work of washing away your worldly cares now complete. The path continues its descent, leading you away from the river's misty shore and deeper into the heart of the cavern. The air, which by the river was cool and damp, now becomes still and strangely warm, imbued with a heavy, sweet fragrance that you recognize from the cave's entrance, the rich, soporific perfume of 1,000 blooming poppies. The darkness here is different. It is not an absence of light, but a presence in its own right, a soft, tangible blackness that cushions the senses. The silence returns, but it too has changed. It is no longer the stark, empty silence of the antechamber, but a deep, resonant quiet, like the moment of stillness after a perfect musical note has faded. The narrow path opens into a vast, circular chamber, so large its walls are lost to the gentle shadows. The ground here is not stone, but a carpet of thick, velvety moss that muffles your footsteps completely. And in the very center of this immense and silent space you see it, a throne. It is not made of gold or marble like the thrones of the gods on Olympus, built for grandeur and intimidation. This throne is carved from a single colossal piece of what looks like polished night. Ebony, so black and smooth that it seems to swallow the faint, ambient light of the cavern, reflecting nothing. It is a throne built not for ruling, but for reclining. And on it you finally behold the master of the realm. You see Hypnos. He is asleep. Of course he is. What else would the god of sleep be doing? You find a soft internal smile forming at the simple perfection of it. He's not just the purveyor of rest. He's a lifelong practitioner. He is not the fearsome bearded deity you might have imagined. Instead, he is depicted as a young man, eternally poised on the edge of adulthood, his form radiating a serene and timeless beauty. He is slumped in the ebony throne, in a posture of complete and utter abandon. His head is tilted to the side, dark curls spilling across his shoulder. One arm rests on the arm of the throne, fingers loosely curled, while the other dangles limply, its fingertips hovering just above the mossy ground. There is no tension in his body, no hint of guardedness. He is the physical embodiment of release. As your eyes adjust to the dimness, you notice a detail you hadn't seen at first. From his temples, or perhaps his shoulders, it is hard to be sure, as they are folded so gently sprout a pair of wings. They are not the powerful feathered wings of an eagle or a hawk, like those often given to Nike or Iris. These are the soft, dusky wings of a gigantic nocturnal moth, their surface like dark velvet, patterned with subtle, shimmering eye spots that seem to swirl with faint, hidden colors. They look too delicate to carry a guide through the sky, but you understand they are not for swift flight. They are for silent, unseen passage through the night, for brushing ever so gently against the eyelids of the weary. You stand there, a simple potter from Athens, gazing upon a primal god, and you feel no fear, only a profound sense of peace, a quiet awe. You think of his twin brother, Thanatos, the god of death. It is a well-known fact, a truth whispered in mystery cults and epic poems, that sleep and death are inseparable siblings. They are two sides of the same coin. Thanatos brings the final, unending rest, but Hypnos, the gentler twin, offers a nightly reprieve. He is the god of borrowed peace, of temporary surrender, a release from which you are permitted to return. As you look at the tranquil face of the sleeping god, you feel a wave of gratitude for this nightly mercy. Being an artisan, a man who works with form and image, you can't help but ponder a practical, professional question. If you were to paint this scene on a vase, how would you distinguish this god from his more final brother? Historians and artists in your own time endlessly debate their iconography. The two are so often shown as identical twins. You look at Hypnos and decide. You would paint Thanatos with a darker, more somber hue, perhaps holding an inverted torch, its flame extinguished forever. But Hypnos, you would paint him just as he is now, with a relaxed, open hand, his wings the color of twilight. You would try to capture the utter lack of tension in his form, the gentle curve of his neck. Death is an ending. Sleep, you realize, is a continuation. It is the sacred pause that makes the next day possible. Around the base of the ebony throne, the source of the heavy, sweet scent is clear. Thousands of poppies grow in a thick, wild carpet, their heads nodding low as if they too are deep in slumber. And in the still, warm air around the god, faint, translucent shapes drift and coalesce. Like smoke, they are hazy, indistinct, constantly forming and dissolving. The whisper of a horse's mane, the curve of a forgotten face, the glint of an impossible staircase. You are witnessing the very stuff of dreams, the raw, unformed oneiroi, waiting to be given shape and sent out into the minds of mortals. You muse that if the perpetually arguing members of the Athenian assembly could just be brought here for an hour, all their frantic decrees and endless debates might cease, replaced by a unanimous vote for a city-wide afternoon nap. Perhaps that would be the most productive legislation of all. You feel no need to speak, to offer a prayer, or to ask for a blessing. Your presence here, your quiet observation, feels like communion. Enough. The deep, abiding peace of the chamber seeps into your very marrow, a tranquility more profound than anything the river Lethe could offer. This is not the forgetting of care, but the acceptance of it. Here, in the presence of the sleeping god, all things feel distant yet manageable. The weight of your own eyelids becomes a gentle, pleasant heaviness. Your body yearns to mimic the god on his throne, to simply lie down on the soft moss and drift away. You are at the very center of the world's slumber, the quiet nucleus from which all rest emanates. And as you watch, you see one of the god's delicate wings twitch ever so slightly, and you know, with a certainty that needs no explanation, that he is aware of you. He is about to share a story not by speaking, but by dreaming it for you. You stand in the silent, vast chamber of Hypnos, your own breath slowing to match the profound peace of the sleeping god. The hazy, dreamlike shapes that drift in the air around his ebony throne begin to change. They stop their aimless swirling, dance, and start to coalesce, drawn together by an unseen will. The velvety darkness of the cave does not shatter or break, but rather dissolves, like sugar in warm water. The floor of soft moss beneath your feet transforms into cool, springy turf, and the heavy scent of poppies is replaced by the clean, sharp fragrance of wild thyme and mint. A gentle, cool breeze kisses your face, and you look up to see not a cavern roof, but a boundless night sky, littered with stars so bright and clear they look like chips of freshly cut diamond scattered. Across dark velvet, you are standing on the gentle slope of a mountain. Below you a valley sleeps under a thick blanket of silver mist. The only light comes from a brilliant full moon hanging directly overhead like a divine lantern. It bathes the entire landscape in a soft, ethereal glow, rendering the world in shades of silver and deep, gentle shadow. The scene is one of absolute tranquility. You are no longer Callias the potter, standing in a mythical cave. You are now an unseeing observer, a silent witness in a dream woven for you by Hypnos himself. A little way up the slope, you see him. A young man is reclining against a smooth, gray boulder, surrounded by a flock of sheep who are all lying down, their woolly forms like soft lumps of moonlight on the grass. This must be Endymion. The tales and poems you have heard do not do him justice. It is not just that he is handsome, with a face that seems carved from the same serene moonlight that illuminates him. It is the palpable aura of peace that radiates from him. He is utterly still, but he is not asleep. His eyes are open, and his gaze is fixed upon the moon with an expression of such rapt attention, such profound and gentle adoration, that it seems to be the very source of the quiet on this mountain. The sheep around him are not merely resting. They are lulled into a deep slumber by their master's own deep state of contemplative calm. You chuckle softly to yourself. This shepherd has no need for a guard dog. His own peacefulness is a better guardian than any loud beast dot. As the dream deepens, knowledge flows into you, given by Hypnos. You understand that this is Mount Latmus in Caria, a place far from your native Athens, and you learn that Endymion is more than a simple shepherd. He is a king in this land, and more importantly, a student of the heavens, an astronomer. Many people look at the moon and see a light, a god, or a mystery. But Endymion sees a pattern, a cycle, a beautiful and predictable dance. He is one of the first mortals to truly study the moon's path, to chart her phases, to understand her journey. His nightly vigil is not just the idle pining of a lover. It is the dedicated observation of a scholar. He is the one man on earth who does not just see the moon, but understands her dot. Suddenly your perspective shifts. You are no longer just on the mountain, but you feel a sense of being high above, looking down. You feel the cool, silent drift of the cosmos around you. You are seeing through the eyes of Selene, the Titan goddess of the moon herself. As she guides her silent silver chariot across the sky, she looks down upon the sleeping world of mortals. She sees the petty squabbles of kings, the flicker of distant battles, the restless sleep of worried merchants. But then her gaze falls upon Mount Latmus, and her divine heart, so accustomed to cold, cosmic loneliness, fills with a warmth that is both a comfort and an ache. She sees Endymion. He is the one point of light in her nightly journey, the one soul who looks back not to pray for a good harvest or a safe voyage, but simply to see her. You feel her immense, overwhelming love for this mortal. It is a pure and protective love, the way you, Callias, might love a perfectly thrown vase, your single greatest creation. You admire its form, its balance, its simple beauty, and you live in quiet fear that a careless hand or the simple passage of time might introduce a flaw, a crack, that will mar its perfection forever. Selene feels this on a cosmic scale. She loves his beauty, his intelligence, his peaceful heart, but he is mortal. He will age. His dark hair will turn to a silver that will not match her own divine light, but will speak of decay. His keen eyes will dim, his body will wither, and one day he will die, and her nightly solace will be extinguished forever. The mountain will become just another dark peak on a sleeping earth. Watching this silent, loving tableau, you ponder the nature of this story. Poets often speak of Endymion's fate as a great blessing, but as you watch him, so still, so focused, you wonder, is a life of eternal, unchanging contemplation truly a gift, or is it a beautiful prison, to be frozen in a moment of perfection, never to change, never to grow, never to create something new? As a craftsman, a man who finds meaning in the process of making, in the change from wet clay to finished form, the idea is both alluring and deeply unsettling. It would be like a pot that is forever in the kiln, never quite finished, never ready to be used. You are witnessing the prelude to a divine choice, a choice that walks the razor's edge between a blessing and a curse. You feel Selene's desperation crystallize into a decision. Her love is too strong to accept the terms of mortality. She cannot bear the thought of his end. Her gaze, filled with a sorrowful determination, shifts from her beloved shepherd on the mountainside towards the distant, unseen peak of Mount Olympus. She will make a plea. She will go to Zeus himself, the king of the gods, and beg for an impossible favor. A favor that will require the unique and subtle talents of the very God who is weaving this dream for you now. The vision holds for a final, poignant moment the beautiful mortal lost in his adoration of the moon, and the loving goddess preparing to sacrifice his future to preserve his present. The dream shimmers, holding you in that moment of perfect, silent understanding between the mortal shepherd and the immortal moon goddess. The decision has been made in the heart of Selene, and now the dream shows you the consequence. You do not see a grand council on Olympus, nor do you hear the booming voice of Zeus. Such things are loud, dramatic, and entirely unnecessary for this gentle tale. Instead, you feel a subtle shift in the cosmic firmament, a silent, celestial nod of Approval. A distant, low rumble echoes from the heavens, but it is not the sound of anger. It sounds more like a deep, weary sigh of assent, the sound a busy father might make when finally granting a strange, heartfelt but ultimately harmless request from a favorite child. Zeus, you understand, has consented. The fate of Endymion is now his own to choose. Back on the quiet slopes of Mount Latmus, the air grows heavy and still. The moonlight seems to brighten, and the shadows deepen, becoming sharp and distinct. From the deepest of these shadows, beneath a gnarled and ancient olive tree, a figure detaches itself from the darkness. It is Hypnos. He is no longer on his ebony throne, but here, present in the vision, an active participant in his own story. He moves with a liquid grace, his feet making no sound on the soft turf. His dusky, moth-like wings are folded neatly against his back, and his expression is one of serene focus. He has been given a task by the king of the gods, but you sense he performs it not just out of duty, but with a kind of professional sympathy. Who better than the god of sleep to appreciate a man who so loves the quiet of the night? Hypnos approaches Endymion, who still gazes, enraptured, at the moon. The god does not speak aloud. There is no need for clumsy mortal words here. The communication flows between them on a silent, intuitive current, a language of thought and feeling. You understand the choice being laid before the shepherd king as clearly as if it had been shouted from the mountaintop. He can continue on his path as a mortal. He can love Selene, watch her every night, but he will also watch his own hands wrinkle, feel his own strength fade. He will experience the fullness of a human life with all its fleeting joys and inevitable sorrows, culminating in the final, unavoidable sleep of death. Or he can accept the gift. He can enter a timeless slumber, here on this very mountain, his youth and beauty preserved forever. He will never age, never sicken, never die. He will exist in a perfect, unending state of peace, forever gazing upon the goddess he adores. For another man, this might be an agonizing choice, to give up the sun, the warmth of laughter, the taste of wine, the feeling of his own children's hands in his. But Endymion's gaze has never once wavered from the silver face of Selene in the sky. His life's work, his life's love is already here in this nocturnal peace. His decision is instantaneous, made without a flicker of doubt. He gives a slow, deliberate nod, a gesture of profound and peaceful acceptance. He chooses the moon. He chooses eternity. He chooses sleep. Now you witness the magic, the gentle miracle, at the heart of this myth. Hypnos does not raise his hands and chant in some arcane tongue. There is no flash of lightning or plume of smoke. The god of sleep is subtle, his craft, an art of quietude. He simply steps forward and raises a hand. In some versions of the tale, poets say he carries a horn filled with the liquid slumber of the river Lethe, or that he touches the sleeper with a poppy. But what you see is far more intimate. Hypnos gently, almost reverently, places his cool fingers on Endymion's temples. The effect is immediate, but incredibly gentle. A visible wave of relaxation flows through Endymion's body. The last ounce of mortal tension dissolves from his muscles, leaving him as limp and peaceful as the sleeping sheep around him. His breathing, already slow and steady, becomes even deeper, slowing until it is barely perceptible, like the rise and fall of a gentle tide. His body has surrendered completely to a slumber more profound than any mortal has ever known. But his eyes, and this is the heart of the miracle, his eyes do not close. They remain open, their clear, loving gaze still fixed upon the moon, their expression of wonder and adoration now sealed in place for all time. He is asleep, yet he is watching. You realize you're witnessing the creation of a new state of being, a concept that philosophers could debate for centuries. Is it sleep? Is it wakefulness? It is both. It is neither. It is Endymion's rest. It's a paradox you might try to capture on a pot, a glaze that is somehow both perfectly matte and brilliantly glossy at the same time, an impossibility made real by divine will. You can't help but smile at the thought. Endymion has achieved the ultimate state of tranquility, a kind of mindful nothingness that monks and sages spend their lives striving for, and he gets to do it forever with the best view in the world. He has, you muse, found the perfect solution. For anyone who truly dislikes mornings, Hypnos holds his touch for a moment longer, as if ensuring his work is perfect, then withdraws his hand. His task is complete. With a final, serene look at the sleeping shepherd, the god of sleep steps back into the shadow from which he emerged and simply vanishes. He has returned to his own quiet realm, leaving behind his gentle, everlasting handiwork. The scene is now complete, a living, breathing tableau for eternity. Endymion, the beautiful, ageless shepherd, forever dreaming with his eyes wide open, locked in his silent, loving communion with the moon. And high above Selene, her heart aching with a love that is now safe from the ravages of time, begins her slow, nightly descent to sit beside him. The air on Mount Latmus is thick with a peace so profound it feels eternal. Hypnos is gone, his work of gentle magic complete, and before you lies the result, Endymion the shepherd king, forever captured in a state of wakeful slumber. His eyes, open and full of wonder, are fixed on the heavens, a testament to a love so powerful it chose stillness over life itself. The world holds its breath, and then you see the moon begin to move. It is no longer a static object in a painted sky. It is the silver chariot of Selene, and she is guiding it down from its celestial track, leaving the star-dusted highway of the gods to descend towards the earth. The descent is a silent, graceful arc of light. As the chariot draws nearer, the moonlight on the peak of Latmus intensifies, shifting from a diffuse, silvery wash to a focused, pure column of light that illuminates Endymion as if he were the sole actor on a cosmic stage. The chariot comes to rest just above the ground, its light pulsing with a soft, living rhythm. From it, Selene herself alights. She is not formed of flesh and blood, but seems woven from moonlight and shadow, her form shifting and ethereal. She moves across the dew-kissed grass, her steps as silent as her lover's eternal repose, and kneels beside him. She does not try to wake him. She knew the price of her request. Instead, she begins her vigil. This, you understand, is their nightly ritual, a routine that will now repeat for all eternity. She reaches out a luminous hand, her fingers not quite solid, and gently traces the line of his jaw, the curve of his lips. There is no response, of course, no answering touch. But her gesture is not one of longing for what is lost, but of deep appreciation for what has been preserved. He is here. He is beautiful. He is hers. She sits with him for hours, a silent companion to his silent watching. You can't help but think this must be the most peaceful and successful relationship in the entire chaotic history of gods and mortals. There are no arguments, no misunderstandings. He is quite literally a captive audience, and she the devoted admirer. It's a perfect, if somewhat one-sided arrangement. As she sits beside him, you notice the quality of the light that falls from her onto his sleeping form. It is a special kind of light, a concept for which you now have a name, delivered by the dream, Celis. It is the sacred magical moonlight that falls only upon sleepers, a light that does not reveal flaws but sanctifies beauty. It is this gentle, nourishing light that holds the ravages of time at bay, that keeps his skin smooth and his form forever young. The harsh, revealing glare of Apollo's sun will never touch him here. He is a creature of the night, preserved by the gentle, loving glow of the moon. He has become a masterpiece in a one-man museum, and Selene is its sole, adoring curator. The dream's perspective shifts, and time begins to flow in a strange cyclical rhythm. You see the moon in the sky above Selene's distant double wax, and wane in a sped-up dance. Night follows night in a gentle, seamless cascade. Endymion never moves, Selene never fails to appear. And from this strange, timeless union of a sleeping man and a watchful goddess, something new begins to emerge. You see shimmering, translucent figures appear around them, as if born from the very moonlight itself. One by one they appear until a cohort of 50 graceful, luminous forms stand on the mountainside. These, you understand, are their daughters. The men as a practical man, a potter who understands the physical process of creation. You are momentarily baffled. How can a sleeping man father children? But then the dream offers another layer of understanding, a more philosophical interpretation you might hear debated in the learned circles of Athens. Perhaps the Manae are not children of flesh and blood. Perhaps they are allegories. Endymion, the astronomer, charted the moon's course. Selene is the moon itself. Their 50 daughters could be the 50 lunar months that make up the 4-year cycle between the great Olympic Games. Are they the children of a physical union, or the beautiful living data points of a scientific and spiritual one? The dream does not force a choice. It allows both truths to exist at once, the romantic tale of a goddess's love and the scientific allegory of a mortal's deep understanding of the cosmos. It is a mystery as gentle and beautiful as the scene before. You muse that raising 50 daughters must be an interesting task, but Selene probably has it easier than most mortal mothers. After all, it's easy to enforce a curfew when you control the entire night sky. The story of Endymion has reached its peaceful, unending conclusion. The vision begins to soften at the edges. The last image burned into your mind is that of Selene, her luminous form a beacon of constancy, sitting beside her eternally beautiful, sleeping beloved. It is an icon of devotion, a testament to a love that chose peace over passion, preservation over process. It is a story that proves that rest is not an empty space between actions, but a powerful state of being in its own right, a state that can cradle love and beauty, and keep them safe from time itself. The moonlit slopes of Mount Latmus dissolve. The scent of time fades, and the cool night air warms once more. The vast, velvety darkness of Hypnos' throne room reforms around you. You are back where you started, standing before the ebony throne and the sleeping god, the first of his, dream stories having come to its gentle end. The serene, moonlit dream of Endymion dissolves back into the deep, comfortable darkness of Hypnos' throne room. The lingering feeling of eternal, romantic peace gently fades, replaced by a new energy stirring in the still air. It is not a loud or violent energy, but something more subtle. It feels like the quiet, electric hum of a secret being whispered, a plan being hatched. The sleeping god on the ebony throne does not move, yet you sense this new story also flows from him, another facet of his silent dominion over the minds of gods and mortals alike. This time the vision does not transport you entirely. Instead, the darkness of the cave thins, becoming a translucent veil through which you can peer into another realm, as if looking through a dark, smoky crystal. The scene that resolves before you is one of divine splendor, but also of profound frustration. You are looking into the private chambers of Hera on the highest peak of Mount Olympus. The air shimmers with power, but the queen of the gods is in no mood to appreciate it. She paces back and forth across a floor of polished cloud, her divine brow furrowed in anger. You don't need words to understand the source of her royal displeasure. The knowledge flows into you as part of the dream. Far below, on the dusty plains before the great walls of Troy, a war is raging. A messy, tedious, mortal war, and it is not going her way. Her husband, Zeus, king of all the gods, has thrown his considerable weight behind the Trojans, and her beloved Achaeans, the Greeks, are being slaughtered, pushed back against their own ships. Her pride is wounded, and her sense of justice, however biased, is offended. But you are not here to witness the gore and chaos of battle. No, this story is far more interesting. It is a tale of celestial intrigue. Hera stops her pacing, a dangerous glint in her eyes. She cannot challenge Zeus with force. His power with a thunderbolt is absolute. Therefore she must use other, more subtle weapons, wit, charm, and deception. You watch, fascinated, as she begins a meticulous, multi-step plan. It's a scheme far more intricate than any battle strategy being devised by the generals down below. First, she retreats to her private chambers, a space forged for her by her son Hephaestus, and begins an elaborate ritual of beautification. She bathes, scrubbing away any trace of her foul mood with sweet ambrosia. She anoints her body with fragrant, glistening oil, so divine that its scent alone causes the whole of Olympus to shimmer. She braids her hair and dons a magnificent gown dot. Then comes the masterstroke. She knows her own beauty, however potent, might not be enough. She needs an edge. The vision follows her as she glides to the chambers of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. The interaction is a masterpiece of divine diplomacy. Hera, the stern queen of marriage, approaches the flighty goddess of desire with a carefully crafted story, claiming she needs help reconciling two quarreling relatives. Aphrodite, flattered to be consulted by the queen on matters of the heart, is all too willing to help. Hera's true request is sly. Could she please borrow Aphrodite's famous enchanted girdle, the Kestos Hemas? You see the object, a soft, shimmering belt woven from threads of pure magic. It practically hums with power, containing all the irresistible. charms of love, longing, and sweet persuasion. Aphrodite, perhaps a little suspiciously, but unable to refuse the queen, hands it over. You can almost hear her mental list of conditions for its safe return, like a friend lending out her very best necklace. Armed with this divine artifact, Hera is almost ready. Her plan is to distract Zeus with her overwhelming beauty and charm. But she is a realist. She knows her husband's attention span can be short, and his focus on the Trojan War is intense. Her distraction might only buy her a few precious moments. She needs a final, crucial element, a failsafe. Once she has his full, undivided attention, she needs him to be incapacitated, not harmed, not wounded, but neutralized. She needs him to take a nap, a very, very deep nap. And there is only one being in the cosmos with the power and subtlety to lull the king of the gods himself into slumber. Her thoughts and the vision turn away from the glittering peaks of Olympus. She needs hypnos. As you witness this celestial plotting, you reflect on the nature of these gods. The priests and official poets of Athens speak of them with such reverence, carving their likenesses in marble as icons of perfection and majesty. But the story you are seeing now, a famous tale from the poet Homer, paints a very different picture. It's less a divine drama and more of a family squabble with universe-altering stakes. Hera is acting out of pride and vanity. Aphrodite is easily flattered, and Zeus, the great cloud-gatherer, is about to be undone by the same things that have distracted mortal men for centuries. A beautiful face and the promise of a comfortable embrace. It confirms what some philosophers whisper, that, for all their power, the Olympians are remarkably, frighteningly human. It makes them seem less like gods to be feared, and more like powerful, unpredictable neighbors you'd best not offend. The vision shifts a final time. Hera, cloaked, girdled, and gleaming with divine allure, leaves Olympus behind. She does not fly towards the plains of Troy. Instead, her path takes her to the sun-drenched, volcanic island of Lemnos, a place she knows is a favorite resting spot of the god of sleep. She strides with purpose, a queen on a mission, a wife about to play a very dangerous game. She is seeking her unwilling accomplice, the one gentle god whose power can serve her fierce ambition. The stage is now set for a most unusual negotiation. The vision woven by the sleeping god shifts, carrying you from the gleaming halls of Olympus to the earthy, sun-baked landscape of the island of Lemnos. This is not the dark, chthonic realm of Hypnos' cave, but a worldly haunt, a place of volcanic soil and fragrant pine trees where the god of sleep sometimes comes to rest. You see Hera arriving, her divine presence a stark contrast to the rustic tranquility of the island. She finds Hypnos not in a temple or a palace, but exactly where you would expect him, resting in the deep shade of a pine tree, his body relaxed, his consciousness adrift in that peaceful state between wakefulness and slumber. Hera, cloaked in her borrowed allure and driven by her singular purpose, wastes no time on pleasantries. Her voice, though not loud, carries the unmistakable weight of command. She approaches Hypnos and lays out her proposition with blunt clarity. She is going to Mount Ida to distract her husband, and while Zeus is otherwise occupied, she needs Hypnos to envelop him in a deep, unbreakable sleep. It is presented not as a request, but as a task to be performed An order from the Queen of the Gods. For the first time you see the serene god of sleep display an emotion other than peace. It is fear, a deep, resonant, and very sensible fear. He does not simply demur. He physically recoils from her, his form seeming to shrink back into the shadows of the pine. His voice, when he speaks, is low and steady, but it trembles with a memory of past trauma. He reminds the queen, his words calm but firm, that he has been her accomplice before, and he paid dearly for it. He recounts the tale, a famous story, of divine wrath of the time he put Zeus to sleep at her behest to allow her to persecute the hero Heracles at sea. When the king of the gods awoke and realized he had been tricked, his rage was volcanic. He tore through Olympus, searching for Hypnos, ready to hurl him from the heavens into the darkest depths of the sea. Hypnos only escaped, he explains, by fleeing to the one being Zeus himself will not cross, his mother, the primordial goddess Nyx, night itself. He found sanctuary in her eternal darkness, but the memory of that terror has never left him. He looks at Hera, his quiet eyes conveying a simple, absolute message. He will not, under any circumstances, risk that again. As you witness this, you ponder the strange hierarchy of the cosmos. Hypnos is a primal being, the son of night, his power ancient and fundamental. Yet here he is, cowering before the Olympian queen, terrified of her husband's temper. It's a paradox that scholars might debate. Is Hypnos a lesser god, truly subservient to the Olympians? Or is he a far older and more profound power who simply finds the loud, violent drama of Olympus distasteful and dangerous? You sense it. Is the latter. He is a god of peace who is powerful enough to lull the master of lightning to sleep, but wise enough to know that waking a thunderstorm is a terrible idea. He's not afraid of Zeus's power, exactly. He's afraid of his noise, his chaos, his lack of subtlety. Hera sees her plan crumbling. Command has failed, so she shifts her tactics from authority to bribery. She offers him lavish gifts, a magnificent throne of pure, incorruptible gold, to be forged by the master craftsman Hephaestus, a beautiful, ornate footstool to go with it. She describes them in glittering detail, but Hypnos remains unmoved. His face is a mask of polite refusal. What need has he for a golden throne? His ebony one is far more comfortable, and it doesn't glitter so annoyingly. He has all he needs. Seeing that material wealth holds no appeal, Hera plays her final, most brilliant card. She leans in, her voice now a conspiratorial whisper, and she offers him the one thing in the universe she knows he has always wanted. She offers him a bride, not just any goddess, but Pasithea, one of the younger graces, whom Hypnos has loved from afar for untold ages. Through the dream, you understand who Pasithea is. She is not just a goddess of charm. She is the divine personification of relaxation, of meditation, of all the peaceful states of mind that hover on the edge of sleep. She is the calm after the storm, the quiet bliss of a mind at ease. She is, in every conceivable way, the perfect partner for the god of slumber. You realize Hera's research has been impeccable. This isn't just a negotiation. It's a masterclass in understanding your target audience. The change in Hypnos is instantaneous and profound. His fear vanishes, replaced by a dazzling flicker of hope. His calm detachment is shattered by a wave of pure, unadulterated longing, A golden throne is a thing. Basesia is a kindred spirit, the promise of a shared eternity of quiet companionship. The fate of the entire Trojan War, the lives of thousands of mortal heroes, now hinges on this one divine crush. He agrees. But he is no fool. He has been burned before. He demands an oath. He makes Hera swear the most solemn and unbreakable vow of the gods. She must swear upon the waters of the river Styx, with the earth below and the sky above as her witnesses, that she will honor her promise and give him Pasea to be his lawfully wedded wife. You watch as Hera, her eyes gleaming with triumph, performs the ancient ritual. She places one hand on the fertile earth and raises the other to the starry sky, her voice ringing with power as she speaks the binding words of the oath. The deal is struck. The bargain is sealed. Hypnos, the gentle, god of rest, has been persuaded to undertake the most dangerous mission of his long existence, not for power or for gold, but for love. The bargain is struck. The unbreakable oath has been sworn. The vision shifts, and you now travel alongside the two divine conspirators. Hera, queen of the gods, moves with a regal and urgent purpose, a shimmering streak of light cutting through the Aegean sky. But you travel with Hypnos, and his method of transport is far more suited to his nature. He does not fly so much as flow, shrouded in a soft gray mist that trails behind Hera like a quiet shadow, utterly silent and unseen. Their destination is the majestic peak of Mount Ida, the highest point overlooking the vast plains of Troy, the place from which Zeus himself commands his view of the mortal war dot. As you arrive, the vision solidifies around you. You are on the mountain's summit, high above the world. The air is thin, cool, and crisp, smelling richly of pine needles and damp earth. Far, far below, you can perceive the battle, but not as a scene of horror. From this height, it is a distant, almost abstract affair of fate, rhythmic clanging of bronze on bronze, the far-off glint of sunlight on 1,000 helmets, like a disturbed ant hill. But up here there is peace. Zeus is seated on a rocky ledge, his powerful form silhouetted against the sky, his gaze fixed intently on the distant conflict. His presence is a palpable weight, a concentration of immense power focused on a single task, ensuring victory for the Trojans. You, Callias, reflect on how real this place feels. You've heard the stories, but to see it, to feel the mountain breeze, makes you wonder. The poets place their gods on real mountains you could point to on a map. Perhaps the line between story and place is thinner than you ever imagined. Then Hera makes her entrance. She emerges from a grove of pine trees, and she is a vision of overwhelming radiance. Adorned in her finest robes and armed with the irresistible magic of Aphrodite's girdle, she is not just a queen. She is an event. Zeus turns his head, and in that instant, the fate of the war is sealed. The stern, focused expression of the commander-in-chief melts away, replaced by one of pure, unabashed adoration. The fate of the distant Achaean army is forgotten, eclipsed by the sudden, dazzling presence of his wife. He is utterly enchanted. With a low murmur of welcome, he opens his arms, and as he embraces her, he summons a thick, shimmering golden cloud to envelop them both, hiding them from the prying eyes of any other gods who might be watching. It is an intimate, divine privacy screen. Hera's distraction is a complete success. Now it is Hypnos' turn. While the king of the gods is thoroughly occupied, Hypnos begins his own subtle preparations. He does not simply sneak forward. He is a god of transformations, of the shifting states between worlds, and he employs his craft now. You watch as his human-like form dissolves into a plume of gray mist, which then gathers and compacts, reforming itself. It becomes a bird, not a mighty eagle or a hawk, but a small, secretive creature of the night. Homer's poem gives it two names, a chalcus to the gods, a commendus to mortals. You see it as a kind of nightjar, a bird whose plumage is a perfect, mottled camouflage of dusky brown and gray, designed to blend flawlessly with the bark of a tree. Its eyes are large and dark, and its wings are edged with soft, downy feathers that allow it to fly in absolute, unnerving silence. In this humble, unassuming form, Hypnos takes flight. He makes no sound, a feathered shadow against the sky, and lands high in the branches of the tallest fir tree on the summit, the one that stands like a silent sentinel over the very spot where Zeus and Hera are concealed within their golden cocoon. He perches among the dense needles, utterly invisible, his small bird heart beating with a slow, steady rhythm. He is patient. He waits. The entire epic Trojan War, the clash of heroes like Achilles and Hector, the fate of great cities now hangs on the timing of this one small bird. You can't help but smile at the irony. The most decisive weapon in this great conflict is not a spear or a sword, but a well-timed nap, facilitated by a fashion accessory and a god disguised as a moth-eater. The golden cloud shimmers, the low, happy murmurs from within it begin to fade. The moment has arrived. From his hidden perch in the fir tree, Hypnos acts. There is no screech, no dramatic dive. He simply opens his consciousness and lets his divine power flow outwards. You see it not as a bolt of energy, but as a silent, invisible wave of pure peace, a ripple of profound drowsiness that washes over the golden cloud. It is a lullaby made of pure will. You watch as the immense, powerful form of Zeus, hidden within. The cloud finally succumbs. His body, which channels the lightning, goes completely limp. His head, which holds the strategic fate of the world, slumps forward in serene repose. The mighty hand that could destroy armies now lies open and relaxed upon the grass. The king of the gods, master of the universe, is sound asleep, dreaming happy dreams of his beautiful queen, utterly oblivious to the fact that he has been completely and thoroughly duped. His dangerous mission accomplished, Hypnos the nightjar does not linger. He launches himself from the branch and flies swiftly and silently away, off to find the sea god Poseidon and tell him the coast is clear to intervene on behalf of the Greeks. A moment later, Hera herself slips away from her sleeping husband, a faint, triumphant smile on her lips. The summit of Mount Ida is quiet and peaceful once more, the only sign of the drama being the king of the gods snoring softly into a pillow of divine mist, having been gently and completely removed from the equation. The thrilling vision of Mount Ida, with its divine intrigue and whispered conspiracies, recedes from your mind. The scent of pine and the crisp mountain air dissolve away, and you find yourself once more in the deep, resonant silence of Hypnos's throne room. You are Callias, the potter, standing before the sleeping god, your mind a still pool of water, recovering from the potent stories that have rippled across its surface. The tale of Hera's plot, was a lesson in the awesome, subtle power that sleep holds even over the king of the gods. But now the lesson shifts. You are about to move from the application of power to the intricacies of the craft itself. You are about to visit the workshop, the hazy, smoky shapes that you first saw upon entering this chamber. The raw material of dreams began to drift back towards the ebony throne. Before, they seemed random and chaotic. Now they seemed to possess a quiet sense of purpose, like unshaped clay waiting for the potter's hand. The god on the throne does not stir, yet you feel his consciousness reach out to you, a silent invitation to look closer. He is about to introduce you to his sons, the skilled artisans who give form to this shapeless slumber dot from the swirling mists around the throne. 3 figures begin to coalesce. They are not solid and defined like Hera or even Hypnos himself. They have a shimmering, translucent quality, as if they are woven from the very fabric of the dream stuff they command. They are the Uniroi, the masters of the dream trade, the weavers of nightly visions. The first figure glides forward. He seems to have a basic human shape, but it is in constant, fluid flux. This you understand as Morpheus, the most famous of the brothers. His name means he who forms, and you immediately see why. As you watch, his face and form shift with an artist's perfect precision. For a moment, he becomes the wealthy merchant who commissioned your kylixes, his face a perfect mask of haughty displeasure. Then, just as quickly, he morphs into the warm, familiar face of your own father, his eyes crinkling in a kind smile you thought you had forgotten. He becomes a stranger you saw once in the Agra, a child laughing, a soldier marching. He is a master of mimicry, an artist who works in the medium of human form. You realize that every person you have ever met in a dream, familiar or strange, was a creation from the workshop of Morpheus. A second figure emerges from the mist, and this one feels wilder, more primal. Its shape is unstable, flickering between a great, dark-winged bird, a prowling wolf with embers for eyes, and then, for a startling moment, a terrifying gorgon, its face a mask of fury. A primal flicker of fear sparks within you, but the deep peace of Hypnos's realm smothers it instantly. You are given a deeper understanding. Mortals have a name for this one, Phobiter, the Frightener, for it is he who crafts the beasts and monsters of our nightmares. But the gods, in their higher understanding, know him by another name, Isolus, which means likeness or resemblance. To the gods he is not a purveyor of terror, but a master of realistic animal forms. The fear is simply a byproduct of his incredible skill, a mortal reaction to a perfectly rendered lion or a terrifyingly real serpent. You can't help but feel a bit of sympathy for him. It's a classic case of the audience blaming the artist for their own feelings. The third and final brother is perhaps the strangest of all. He has no form of his own, for his specialty is the formless. He is a living landscape. As you watch, he becomes the very stone walls of your workshop, so real you can almost feel their dusty texture. Then he shifts, becoming the grand marble steps of the Parthenon, cool and imposing. He flows into the image of a river, not of water, but of dark, glistening wine, and then resolves into a forest of impossibly tall trees that whisper secrets to one another. This is Thanatos, the artist of the inanimate. He builds the world of your dreams, the houses you enter, the ground you walk on, the strange objects you find. He is the set designer, the prop master, and the architect of slumber. You are then shown a breathtaking display of their collaborative craft. Thanatos lays down a scene, a perfect replica of the narrow lane outside your workshop at dusk. Morpheus then populates it, placing a shifting image of your neighbor walking towards you. And Isolus adds the final touch, a stray dog, its gait and posture perfectly, realistically captured, trots silently across the cobblestones. You are witnessing the divine assembly line of a dream, a silent, coordinated dance between the three masters. You muse that if you could somehow commission their services, you'd have Thanatos dream up a pile of perfectly wedged play. It would be the greatest labor-saving invention in history. Gazing upon these three incredible beings, a question forms in your mind, the kind of question philosophers love to debate. Are these three distinct gods? Should a man leave an offering to Morpheus for a sweet dream of a lost loved one? Or are they simply personifications, literary names for the different functions of a single, complex process? Are they Hypnos' sons, or are they different aspects of Hypnos himself, or even of your own sleeping mind? The vision offers no simple answer, allowing you to simply marvel at the elegant mystery of this family business. Hypnos, the silent chairman, and his three sons, the highly specialized, brilliant heads of the dream factory. The vision of the three brothers begins to fade as they recede back into the mists from which they were born, their introductory lesson complete. You now understand who builds the dreams and how they are constructed, but a final question remains. From where are these perfectly crafted visions sent to the minds of sleepers like you? The answer to that, you feel, is the next and final lesson of the night. The translucent forms of the Oneroi, the three master artisans of dream, dissolve back into the swirling, ambient mist of the throne room. A deep quiet settles once more, but it is now a quiet filled with understanding. You have seen the artists. Now, Hypnos will show you their gallery. Your gaze is drawn to the far wall of the immense chamber. The deep, velvety darkness there begins to thin and part, pulling away like a heavy curtain being drawn aside by an unseen hand. As the shadows recede, they reveal the final and most profound secret of this realm, the two gates of sleep. They stand side by side, immense and silent, the source of all the soft, ambient light within the cavern. One gleams with a brilliant, milky luster, while the other radiates a deep, warm glow. They are the final checkpoint, the twin portals through which all dreams must pass before they can journey to the minds of mortals. Your eyes are first drawn to the gate that shines more brightly. It is carved from a single seamless piece of ivory, polished to such a high sheen that it looks like frozen moonlight. It is breathtakingly beautiful, its surface covered in exquisitely detailed carvings of the most fantastical scenes. You see men with wings soaring through the clouds, cities with towers of pure gold, feasts with food that could never exist, and lovers with impossible beauty. The light does not pass through the ivory. It dances and glares off its surface, creating dazzling, shifting patterns that trick the eye. You feel an innate understanding that this is the gate of ivory, and the dreams that pass through it are as beautiful and as false as its surface. They are the dreams born of idle wishes, of baseless fears, of vanity, and simple nonsense. The dream of you suddenly becoming a wealthy nobleman, or the one where you are being chased by a monster with loaves of bread for feet, they all pass through this beautiful, deceptive portal. You muse that this gate must see a tremendous amount of traffic every night. Then you turn your gaze to the other gate, and its beauty is of a completely different kind. It is the gate of horn. It is not carved from a solid block, but is crafted from countless thin, translucent sheets of polished animal horn, fitted together so perfectly that the seams are invisible. It does not glitter or dazzle. It glows from within with a soft, warm, amber light, like honey held up to a candle. The light shines through it, clear and steady. The carvings on this gate are not fantastical, but simple, profound, and true. You see the cycle of the seasons, the unwavering phases of the moon, a steady hand guiding a ship's tiller through a storm, a tiny seed sprouting from the earth. This gate does not promise spectacle. It promises substance. You know, with a certainty that settles deep in your bones, that the dreams that pass through this portal are the true ones. They are the prophetic visions, the divine warnings, the deep, intuitive wisdom of the soul, and the honest reflections of the heart. As a craftsman, you can't help but compare them. The gate of ivory is like a cheaply made pot covered in a flashy, impressive glaze designed to hide the flaws in the clay beneath. The gate of horn is like a simple, unadorned vessel, whose perfect form and utility are their own honest, enduring beauty. You know which one you would value more. As you ponder the two gates, a piece of ancient, poetic wisdom flows into your mind to explain the choice of materials. It is a divine pun, a secret hidden in the very sounds of your language. The word for horn in your Greek tongue is keros, a word that sounds almost exactly like the verb kranine, which means to fulfill or to bring to pass. The word for ivory is elephas, and it echoes the verb elepharistai, which means to deceive. The very nature of the gates is encoded in their names, for those with the wit to hear it. The gods, it seems, appreciate clever wordplay. You watch as the finished dreams crafted by the Onoroi now drift like a slow, silent river towards the two gates. A dream of you discovering a forgotten chest of silver coins, a wish-fulfillment fantasy is drawn irresistibly towards the gleaming surface of the ivory gate. But another dream, a faint and anxious vision of a tiny crack beginning to form in the wall of your kill, drifts steadily towards the warm, honest glow of the horn gate. Seeing this celestial sorting process makes you reflect on your own nights. How are you, a mortal, to know which gate your dreams have passed through? You think of the priests at the sanctuaries of the healing god Asclepius, who sleep in his temple, hoping for a divine dream to guide their recovery. You think of the seers and interpreters in the city, who charge a fee to unravel the meaning of a nightmare. This vision confirms what they all grapple with. Not all dreams are created equal. The greatest challenge is not having dreams, but learning to distinguish the profound, actionable truth from the beautiful, meaningless lie. The final piece of the great mystery has been laid before you. You have met the god of sleep, witnessed his power, been introduced to his skilled children, and now you have seen the twin portals of their trade. You understand the complete, elegant, and surprisingly organized system that governs the nightly. world of slumber. As this understanding settles into your soul, the vision of the gates begins to fade. The brilliant gleam of the ivory and the warm glow of the horn soften and dim, receding back into the gentle, all-encompassing darkness of the chamber. Your journey in this realm is nearing its end. The vision of the twin gates, the final great secret of the dream world, dissolves into the soft, welcoming darkness of the cavern. The faint amber and ivory light fades completely, leaving you in a silence and blackness more profound than ever before. But it is not the heavy, expectant darkness of the cave anymore. It feels lighter, more familiar. It is the simple, featureless void behind your own closed eyelids. The presence of Hypnos, which had been your constant guide, recedes. It does not vanish abruptly, but pulls away gently, like a tide returning to a distant sea. You feel a sensation of immense gratitude, a silent thank you to the sleeping God for the stories he has shared and the peace he has bestowed. Then you feel a new sensation, a slow, gentle, upward pull. It is as if you have been resting at the bottom of a deep, calm lake and are now effortlessly floating back towards the surface, back towards a distant, waiting light. The lingering sense of the cavern, the poppies, the damp earth fade away, and a new familiar scent takes their place. It is the smell of dry clay, of dust, and of the faint, smoky trace of an extinguished kill. You feel something hard and cool against your cheek, not the soft moss of the throne room, but the unyielding stone of a floor. A faint, pearly light presses against your eyelids, urging them to open. With a slow, languid movement, you lift your head and open your eyes. You are not in a mythical cave. You are in your workshop. The first soft ray of dawn is cutting through the high window, illuminating the same dancing dust motes that the last ray of sunset had revealed. It seems a lifetime ago. You see that you had fallen asleep on the floor, your body slumped against the cool, curved side of a large, unfinished amphora. You had not even made it home to your bed. Yet, as you slowly push yourself to a sitting position, you feel no stiffness, no crick in your neck. You feel wonderful. The deep, bone-weary ache in your shoulders and back from yesterday's labor is completely gone. You feel more deeply and truly rested than you have in years, as if every fiber of your being has been soaked in pure tranquility. You stand and stretch, your limbs feeling light and strong. In the distance you hear the first rooster crowing, a sound so common and yet so startling after the profound silence of Hypnos's realm. You walk to the open doorway of your workshop and look out onto the waking city of Athens. The sky is a soft palette of gray and rose, and the air is cool and clean. You ponder the journey you have just taken. Was it real? Did your soul, your psyche, truly leave your sleeping body and travel to the land of a god? Or did your exhausted mind, steeped in the myths and stories of your culture, simply weave an elaborate and vivid dream for itself? You think of the philosophers in the Agra, endlessly debating the nature of the soul and its travels in sleep. For a moment you try to decide, but then a slow smile spreads across your face. You, Callias, are a potter, a man of practical things, and you realize the question does not matter. Whether the cave was real or imagined, the rest is real. The peace you feel now is real, and that is more than enough. Your journey you realize was a form of healing. You think of the tales of the sick and injured who travel to the temples of Asclepius. They sleep within the sacred grounds, a process they call incubation, and the priests use quiet stories, chants, and a peaceful atmosphere to guide their slumber, hoping the god will send a healing dream. Your night was just like that. Sleep itself was your temple, and Hypnos was the gentle priest who guided you through a series of visions that cleansed your mind and restored your body. You think of his twin brother, Thanatos. The thought of death was always a distant, cold thing, to be ignored. But after experiencing the deep, welcoming peace of his brother's domain, the idea of that final journey seems less terrifying. If the good death a poets speak of is simply being carried away by these two silent, gentle brothers, then perhaps it is just another journey into a profound and lasting quiet. You turn back into your workshop and pick up a lump of fresh damp clay. It feels cool and alive in your hands. You begin to knead it, your movements sure and rhythmic, your mind clear and calm. The stories Hypnos showed you echo in your memory, not as grand, intimidating myths, but as quiet, personal lessons. The tale of Endymion taught you the beauty of devoted peace. The story of Hera taught you that even the grandest ambitions are often driven by simple human emotions. And the vision of the Oneiroi and the twin gates gave you a new respect for your own craft. Like them, you take formless material and shape it into things of truth or things of fancy. You look at the rows of waiting pots, and you feel no anxiety about the day ahead, no dread of the demanding client. You will make good things today. The work will be its own reward. You have been given the gift of a new beginning, a gift delivered on the silent wings of a god in the simple, sacred, and profound darkness of a good night's sleep. And just as Callias the potter found his peace in the quiet light of dawn, you can feel your own journey of the mind drawing to its gentle and natural close. The stories have all been told. The adventures have reached their end. All the sights and sounds of that ancient, sleepy world begin to recede, fading like the gentle dream they were. There are no more gates to ponder, no more gods to appease. There is only you now, resting comfortably, breathing slowly, sinking softly into your own well-deserved peace. Feel the gentle but insistent pull of your own slumber, a quiet gravity drawing you down into the softness of your mattress. The narrative of the night dissolves, and all that is left is sensation. The gentle weight of your blanket feels like a comforting hand, a silent reassurance that you are safe, you are secure, and you are right where you need to be. The air in your room moves with a soft, steady rhythm, a quiet whisper that carries away any remaining thoughts of the day. Let your own breathing be your final guide. Follow the slow, easy rhythm of your breath as it comes and goes, a gentle tide, pulling in peace and calm, and pushing out any last trace of tension. Feel your eyelids, so heavy now, resting peacefully closed. There is nothing more to see, nothing more to do. The journey is over. All that remains is the simple, profound, and deeply healing gift of your own sleep. Imagine yourself as a single, smooth, gray stone, resting at the bottom of a slow and silent stream. The gentle currents of deep sleep flow over you, washing away the last remnants of the day, leaving only stillness, only quiet, only a deep and abiding peace. Rest now. You are home. You've reached the end of another cozy, nappy tale. Sleep well, and remember, you're always welcome here. Sweet dreams, nappy friend.